Hey everyone, today we have Kabir with us, who is a recent alumni of the year 2021. Um, hey Kabir,
Hey others,
our
nice to
audience,
meet you. Yeah, sorry.
sorry, but few of my friends and a lot of seniors gave me a recommendation of bringing you on the podcast and talking to
Wait,
you about
really?
your
Okay.
career journey. So I'm excited. They sent me a couple of questions already, so we will
Shit,
just be
I'm
going through them.
curious. I'm actually so wait. So, the questions that you get, they're like sourced from other people as well who might know me.
Maybe
Oh shit. Okay, this is gonna be fun.
it will be. It will be. um, But just to kick it off, so Kabir, let's say no one who is listening has heard of geospatial analysis before. How would you
Yeah.
describe what geospatial analysis is?
Uh, well, it's really about well, when you think about a data analyst, let's start with that because that's probably something a lot of people are familiar with, right? When you're working with just data in the traditional sense, it's sort of like one dimension where like you know what is there. But when you're working in my field, like urban planning, you're looking at land use, zoning, it's really important to know not just what is there, but where it is. Like, for example, in a city, let's say you're talking about transit, it doesn't really make sense to have like five transit stops really close to each other. You want it to be well connected throughout the entire city. I mean, that's the best way that I can think of explaining it in the simplest manner is like just thinking about not just what there is, but also where it is. Of course, for like my field, it's really important because that's really what everything is predicated upon. Cities
Exactly.
are not just their downtowns; it's their neighborhoods where people live. Um, so yeah.
Got it. So, what's your day to in this field? What your day-to-day activities look like?
So it's a lot of working with public sector clients, and the nice part about it is we work with cities and counties across the U.S. And the great part is every city has a unique problem. Like L.A., San Francisco, Chicago, New York, wildly different issues that they are concerned about. So no two projects are really the same. Um, but my day to day is mostly a lot of R/Python stuff and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of qualitative writing and
Yep.
stakeholder interviews with. So when we do a new project, for example, um, and this is something that I am a really big fan of, and I didn't do a lot. I didn't pay a lot of attention to this at Grinnell because, well, I was more of a data person at Grinnell, more of a quant person. But the qualitative part of it is so important. And what I really like is, as part of our work, we do a lot of stakeholder interviews. It's say we're working in LA, we go through and we interview everybody from the economic development organizations through like local residents, and it's really important to get that sort of local perspective because, I mean, hey, if I was living in LA and I was told, yeah, this company in Chicago, based out of Chicago, is taking care of the city's master plan, I'd be like, well, what do Chicago people even know about LA? Which is
Yep.
true. So, it's really important to talk to people who live there, who work there. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's mostly my day to day. It's a good balance between the quant and the qualitative. Yeah.
That's interesting. You mentioned about a few projects. Can you to understand this better? Can you give one of the projects that you have worked on before, like an
Yeah,
example?
totally. Yeah, totally. So one that's ongoing right now is for Los Angeles. So cities have like master plans and stuff, right? So what we're working on is Los Angeles's master plan. It's the general framework. So it's one of the biggest projects we have, and I've been lucky enough to be a big part of it, which has been awesome,
That's
but also
amazing.
really stressful. But basically, it's looking at everything through. So you start off with like a social equity analysis. You're looking at differences by gender, by race and ethnicity across the city geospatially, where these differences exist, where are there gaps to access to, education and healthcare and
Yeah.
jobs and stuff. Um, then you sort of move into the more nuanced parts of it. Right now, what we're working on is the land use and zoning capacity analysis. So basically, we're looking forward and trying to predict what's going to happen as per 20, like by 2050, where housing should be built,
Mm-hmm.
how that housing will affect commercial development and all of that stuff. And also, we also then look at the financial analysis of the city's budget. Like we're trying to predict, okay, like this is what your revenues and expenditures were right now and over the last few years.
Yeah.
Going forward with the amount of housing that we're planning to build, with the commercial development that's supposed to pop up, what are revenues and expenditures going to look like in the future? What's the city's budget going to look like in the future? So yeah, it's a very multi-pronged approach where we're doing everything from equity through like employment to finance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a very interesting use of data analysis, in my opinion. It's like I have never thought of like how much data analysis would go in a city planning, which is now talking to you. I think it's pretty much it's a lot of data analysis that goes into the.
yeah. It is. It totally is, and I'm right there with you because I mean, when I graduated, I didn't have a job.
Yeah.
When I graduated,
Mm-hmm.
and when I got this job and I started working for the first 2 to 3 months, I was like, I was considering quitting because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to have like some mentors at work who were like, this is everybody in consulting goes through this. Don't worry, okay, you're
Yeah.
doing great. It's just like the idea of like city planning is something you just take for granted. Before you
True.
actually think about it, it's like, yeah, I'm just living. Shit happens. It's whatever. But then when you actually get into the process, you look at things from the other side of the table, you're like, wow, a lot of thought actually goes into this stuff.
Yeah.
As it should, because it impacts the livelihoods of so many people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
True.
At its essence, I guess it's just about, uh, this is so cliche, but it's just about like creating spaces where people can actually enjoy life. You know?
That's
Yeah.
fair. That's fair. I mean, the this field sounds really interesting to me, especially like how you connected this to data analysis, because I love data analysis, but I never assumed application in this field,
Yeah.
which uh, brings me to my next question. Like you said, after Grinnell, you got ACOM, and I wanted to know more about how the career trajectory was during your time at Grinnell.
Like with respect to what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, like I know you had an internship at Build Trend, and that was also a data analysis internship.
Yeah. So I honestly had no idea what city planning was. If you asked me like when I graduated what
Mm-hmm.
this stuff was, I would have absolutely no fucking clue.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I had an internship at Builder Trend, which was a company based out of Omaha. It's a construction management software company, and really cool people, amazing people there.
Yeah.
It was more of a software company though, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I wasn't 100% sure about the job. Like I enjoyed it, but also did I really see myself doing this? And AECOM was a place I had applied to all the way back in January of 2021. So I had my interview with them, and I thought it went great, but then I didn't hear back for like months, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll just move on. And I got a job offer from Builder Friend, and I was literally the weekend I was about to sign a lease for an apartment in Omaha.
Yeah.
And this is like late June. This is like a month after graduation. I was still sitting in Grinnell doing absolutely nothing, waiting
Mm-hmm.
for a job to come through. Um, the weekend I was about to sign my lease, I got a call back from AECOM. They're like, hey, like, we remember you and all the quant stuff that I showed them, which I'll get into in a minute. I had made a website for myself and stuff for all my projects at Grinnell. And dude, I jumped at the offer. I was like, so I get to move to Chicago? Okay, awesome. Like within 2 days of getting that call, I packed literally everything I owned into my 2004 beat up Toyota Corolla and
Mm-hmm.
just drove to Chicago. Um,
That's
Found a
amazing.
roommate off of Craigslist, and I had no idea what this job was going to be like till like the day I started. And
Mm-hmm.
well, even the day I started, I had no idea. It took a few months, But then I realized, this is actually super interesting. And personally, I realized it's really important to me because,
That's
it changed my life so much. Yeah.
that's inspiring on how you learned that everything like from day one, from ground up, like that relearning process is insane.
Yeah. I mean, I would say relearning, you're right, but also it's about like learning how to take everything that you already know and
And apply
applying
it.
it to something else, right?
True,
Yeah.
true. And you just mentioned that about your quant projects. Do you want to expand a bit more on that?
Yeah, so like during my time at Grinnell, I was an econ major and a
Mm-hmm.
stats concentration. Um, so like during my junior and senior years, through like data analysis, like with Professor Kuiper and Professor Yonkman and Professor Logan Lee and Dr. Arn in the econ department, I had done a bunch of econometrics papers, stats
Mm-hmm.
projects, and stuff. And I mean, when I was looking for jobs, I had just made a website for myself where I had write-ups on these projects, linked PDFs, linked to the GitHub repos for
Yeah.
these projects, just so it would make it easier for like interviewers to see what I was doing, the cool
Mm-hmm.
stuff that I worked on. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. And I actually looked at the website
Oh,
before
sure you
before
did.
the
Okay.
before recording this one.
Okay.
I was trying to make sense. I was trying to read through the project that you have on the website. It
Yeah.
sounded complicated, but I tried my best to understand and
Yeah.
understand it. But
Is this the one on the deterrent effect of capital punishment on violent crime? Is that the
yeah,
one?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the one.
Yeah. It
It's
was a
it's
fun one. I did that one twice. Yeah.
that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, like, how much do you think does these things impact your interview, or like how do these things come in handy while you're searching for a job?
Oh, dude, like, it's so you. For me personally, I can only speak for myself.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was so useful. Like, I'll just give the example of my interview at AECOM. So
Yeah,
they make everyone go through this the second round of the interview, which is like technical.
yeah,
Um, I completely got to skip that because they saw all the stuff that I had done on my website. They saw my projects. They actually took the time to read through them and go through my code and everything, which I
that's
was
great.
actually surprised because not a lot of companies do that.
Yeah.
But this was a really small team,
Mm-hmm.
which I love. So they took the time to go through that, and for me personally, it helped so much because I completely got to skip that part of it. Yeah,
That's
and
amazing.
it just gives you so much more to talk about when you're doing your interviews.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I have heard from a couple of people that they usually the interview, if you have some projects, the interview conversation could be shaped around your interview, your projects that you have built, and
Yeah, totally.
the conversation could be much better than that way.
Yeah.
But yeah. And you said that you majored in economics and with a concentration in statistics. I'm
Yeah.
curious, like, did that interest in economics and statistics there before you came to Grenada, or like it eventually developed?
So I was a computer science major when I first came to Grinnell. I applied as a computer science. My intended major was computer science. I took
Mm-hmm.
three computer science courses too. I took 151, 151 was Scheme, 161 was C, and 207 was Java.
Yeah.
So I got through three of those. I did Java and then I dropped computer science. I was a double major, econ comp sci. At that time, I had already decided,
Mm-hmm.
and I just dropped
Mm-hmm.
comp sci because I just wasn't enjoying it. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I still use a lot of the things that I learned in those classes every day. Like
Mm-hmm.
once you learn something like that, just transitioning into something like R or Python and all is so much easier. So I use stuff
True.
like that all the time. So, but no, definitely that like interest in economics was somewhat there, but stats not really. It was really something that I discovered through Grinnell, and I think the turning point for me was really Professor Kuiper's class, 230. Uh, dude, I love that class. One of my top three classes at Grinnell, if
That's
not
a.
top two, maybe top. Yeah,
I will keep a note of that because I might be
yeah,
taking 230 next semester. So I will keep a
It's
note.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay,
yeah,
that's great. And that's a very interesting thing because a lot of people come here with a decided major in their head, and then they kind of explore more and more. So I want
yeah.
to dig a little bit deeper on when you said that you dropped computer science. I want to know like what factors should someone be looking at to know that they doesn't necessarily like that subject to major in, like, you know what I mean? Like, for example, if I come with a predefined mindset that I'm going to major in computer science, um, what made you think that computer science isn't the one and economics should be the one to go for?
Um, well, that's a great question. For myself, at least, I can say when I was doing comp sci assignments and
Hmm.
homework and in class, I was like, and I mean, the professors are great. A lot of people really enjoyed those courses,
Hmm.
you know, and did really well in them. For me, I wasn't feeling it. I just felt like this isn't the best use of my time. I'm not a me, and of course, you can't be great at everything. I just didn't see myself doing it in the long term,
Makes
just
sense.
because I did not enjoy it.
Hmm.
When you're learning something, at least in econ, like new classes, we learn new stuff, new things, and it would excite me. Just
Hmm.
computer science, just I wasn't that excited about it, and I think that's the biggest thing. At least you
Hmm.
should think about in your first year, if not your first 2 years, because Grinnell is amazing in the sense that it gives you a lot of flexibility,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I mean I was very grateful for. I took advantage of it. So I think everyone should. I mean, even if you enjoy what you're doing, who's to say you won't enjoy something else as well?
Hmm.
You know. So I mean, I'm a big advocate for taking classes that you didn't think you would want to in the first
That's
place.
amazing.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
uh, the point of Grinnell being so flexible is so true that there are so many classes that I didn't even know that the subjects existed in a college environment. Like, there are so many classes here.
yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Uh,
awesome.
and did you like take any of those classes which weren't related to your major, or any thing that you were supposed to be majoring in or planning in the future? Something like maybe a
Yeah,
music class or something.
yeah, totally. So I mean, my third year, I took uh, I forget the exact name of the class, but basically it was a singing class, like vocal
Uh-huh.
performance. I took a 1 credit course for that. So, I mean, that was held, I think, one of the off campus houses on East Street. I forget the address. It's the first house on the left side as you're going down South
Hmm.
Campus. But yeah, that was one of those. And then my senior year, I took a really cool class about Chinese food for thought,
Hmm.
basically going through the cultural history of China and how food played a really important role in it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was also a really cool class. And then my first year, also another class that I really enjoyed that wasn't a part of any of my majors was anthropology. Absolutely loved that class as well.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm planning on taking anthropology probably somewhere down the road.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm
I would
excited
highly.
for that.
I loved it. It's it's a
That's
great.
amazing.
I mean, classes like these just help you look at things that you don't think about, and just in a completely different way. Even if you do think about them, just in a complete. They help you look at it in a completely different way.
Totally agree.
Yeah,
I think it gives a lot of ideas as well. Like, just taking a particular subject class limits your vision of ideas that you could have, but these classes just give you more ideas to build upon and apply whatever you are learning as a major in those ideas.
yeah, yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, nothing can ever be complete, quote unquote, like in isolation, right? Everything,
Yeah.
all the work that you ever do in the real world will be interdisciplinary to some extent.
True.
Like combining stuff from econ, from other places, comp sci. Like if you're doing fintech, that's econ, comp sci.
Yeah.
You know, yeah,
Mhm. That's interesting. Um, One thing that we are on the topic of extracurriculars and exploring different things. What were
yeah.
your favorite memories in Grenada?
Oh man, uh, uh, that's a hard one because there's There's so many things that we did. To be honest, I wasn't really in any like societies or anything other than like the OISA and ISO and stuff. But
Yeah,
like those events were just amazing, you know. Like
yeah,
uh, all the I think you guys just had it. It's the food festival. Oh man, I
yeah.
can't believe I forgot Food Bazaar. Yes,
Food bazaar.
holy shit, I could not. I can't believe I forgot it. Oh my god, no, that was always a highlight of the year. So was like the Diwali celebrations and everything else.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, Grinnell just has such a strong sense of community. I didn't like that it was so small when I first came. I sort
Mm-hmm.
of had apprehensions about it, but really the community is so strong and you get to know people so well. Love that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We this morning we had a saso chai time as
Yeah,
well,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, Jai Jai. Yeah.
if you remember.
Yeah,
Um,
I do.
yeah, those are great events as well. Like I love it. I love them.
Yeah.
But coming back onto the uh, career trajectory wise, I want to know more about like what do you think? What are you excited about in this field? What are your future plans like? Since that you have a job and you have graduated college, do you plan on
Right.
going for post graduation, or do you plan on staying in the same domain and building on top of it?
I definitely want to stay in this field. That much I know. I think at the
Mm-hmm.
moment, it was completely new to me when I graduated, and I really enjoyed it. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I definitely want to stay in this field of urban planning and city planning.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I'm an international student, and economics at Grinnell is a STEM degree. So you get 3 years of OPT,
Yeah.
and this June actually my employment authorization ends. And you get 3 shots at the H-1B and stuff. So I've got my last one coming up right now. But
Yeah.
I've been applying to grad schools already.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm applying for like an MUPP, Masters in Urban Planning and Policy.
That's
So
great.
yeah, I definitely want to stay in this field. Long term goals for me, I think I really want to work in international development. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there are just so many lessons that can be learned from, I mean, good or bad, you know, like how to do things and how not to do things to
True.
learn from the quote unquote developed countries, you know? And yeah, I think international development, working with like the UN is like a dream job, you know,
Yeah.
or like the World Bank with the UNDP. Long term, I would love to do something like that. Yeah.
Makes sense. That makes sense. And for someone who wants to explore this industry while they are in college, and specifically just Grinnell College, like for example, if I'm interested in let's say data analysis in a similar domain company, what classes or like what courses or what things should I be doing to understand this better, or to understand whether I want to work in this long term or not?
Like city planning or urban
Yeah.
planning.
Yeah.
Um, well, I can't directly relate a lot of the stuff that we do back to it, but I
Mm-hmm.
would, off the top of my head, I think fields that would be very useful are probably economics and political science as two of them. And if you want to go into like international development, international politics might be helpful.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think Grinnell has a specific course on this
Mm-hmm.
because I don't remember ever seeing that or taking it. Uh, City planning, I think, is something that I personally just sort of took stuff from elsewhere, and I only discovered it because I got into it. Really,
Makes sense.
yeah.
Makes sense. And in general, if someone is interested in data analysis, what would you recommend to him that they should be doing right now?
I mean, if you're in your first year, just chill, explore a bit. I think 230, the stats concentration is a great way to go. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so is the computer science major and the economics major. Both,
Yeah.
all three of those fields are great for for that. And data analysis is it's not really a discipline in and of itself. It's more so a skill that can be applied to almost any discipline. Like if you're doing biology, bioinformatics or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. It really can be applied anywhere. Um,
That makes sense.
it's more so just keeping an open mind and trying to be creative with the way you uh, work in a certain field, um, and
Mm-hmm.
thinking about what you can do with it, and to build up that base of like knowing what you can do with data, or at least starting to realize what you can do with it. Of course, like 230, 209 are great places to start.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great advice. So whoever is listening to this right now, if you're in your first and second years, stats 29 and stats 230 might be a good start
Yeah. Yeah.
with a few CS classes. Yeah, that's great. And uh, just so like that's an advice for first and second years. And you were a graduating class, which was I would say highly impacted by COVID.
Yeah.
Um, and I think the impact is still somewhat there, but the industry is trying to get back on track of that effect. But um, what would be your advice for the fourth years who are looking for a job right now?
Um, in my experience, like I said earlier, what I think really helps is a portfolio. And even if you haven't taken a course like the different economic seminars or any sort of class where you have like this cool final project where
Yeah,
you that you can like show people, do something on your own. Like find something that you're interested in, do like a personal project, and uh, yeah, just put it together in a way that it's easy to explain to people. It's something that, and of course, choose something that's important to you,
yeah,
uh, because it really does show. If you're working on something that you're not interested in, it does sort of show. So, yeah, I would say like for third or fourth years, if you're looking for jobs and stuff, I think portfolio really helps.
that makes sense.
Yeah,
And so portfolio helps. That's one thing. And
yeah,
I also want to touch base on the timeline of all the, especially data analysis internships or the job applications. You
yeah.
said you applied to Ecom in January, interviewed with them in January, and you heard back from them in June.
The earlier you start, the better. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I personally started like so I graduated May 21. I started in the fall of my senior year,
Mm-hmm.
like around September 2020 was when I started looking for stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and just really putting my applications up there. And I think that's a good time to start. That leaves you plenty of time. I know people who started even earlier. I know people who started in their junior year, and
Yeah.
I didn't. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't, but that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my friends started in like the fall of their senior year, and I think that's a good time to start. That leaves you a lot of time to uh, find something before you graduate. Yeah. And internships, of course, internships. There's no real timeline. I would say just look for them anytime you can, because if you're an international student, even
Yeah.
you can still do an internship while you're studying. You have CPT, which allows you to do that,
Yeah.
and OPT for during your breaks. And if you're like a U.S. citizen, of course, you can also do that.
Yeah.
Internships, really, you can just look for any time. I would say that's something that you probably want to look at every year. Or
Mm-hmm.
at least you want to try to have one, and it's okay if you don't have one of a few years on your breaks. But
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I feel you. I mean, in the sense like a lot of people I talk to, especially the international student, don't know that they could do internships after their first year, even during their
yeah,
college
yeah,
time,
yeah,
which could be a big bonus in getting that bigger internship during the summer or the breaks.
yeah,
So I think that's one thing that's not being used as much as it could.
yeah. I mean, hey, it's not just that. For me, it helped me pay rent. So,
Yeah, exactly,
yeah, yeah.
exactly,
It's a
exactly.
big help.
True, true.
Yeah.
I agree. But wrapping this up, I just quickly want to ask you, like, um, if you had to go back and change anything about what you did, I mean, I know this is a big question, but um, what would you change, both personally as an experience in Grinnell or as a career-wise?
Um, I mean, my experience at Grinnell was fantastic. I can't think of anything, a lot of things personally that I would change, because a lot of those things made me who I am.
Yeah.
At least the big things that make a difference that people would want to change. I don't really want to change because I'm happy with who I am,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm proud of those experiences or not proud of those experiences. It's fine. They both
That's
help
fair.
you grow, right? Um, in other terms, I do think I would work a little harder during college. I wish I had worked a little harder. I think it would just. I mean, I'm in a good place right now. I have a great job.
Mm-hmm.
I'm applying to master's programs. It went well. I love Grinnell. I I do wish though. I mean, with all my spiel that I gave earlier right now in our conversation about, hey, you should explore and stuff. You should go step out of your comfort zone, take other classes that aren't just in your major.
Yeah.
I wish I had done more of that. I did take a few classes like that,
Mm-hmm.
but when I look at some of my classmates, my batchmates, some of them did took some really cool classes, and I was like, wow, I wish I had like thought of that. I wish I did that. It,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think I would just explore a little more if I could go back. Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, like I have friends in different colleges, and they tell me like, Grinnell is you chose a really really different college, and which allows you to explore so many things. Because our college, if you are coming from an intended major, you have a certain number of classes that you need to take
Yeah, like
every
your
single
core
semester.
curriculum or whatever, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think in that sense, Grinnell is amazing. But thank you so much, Kabir, for tuning in. It was amazing talking to you,
Yeah,
and
totally. Likewise. Thank you for having me.
yeah, and if just curious, if any Grenadian wants to reach out to you, what's the best way to contact you?
Um,
If they have any questions after listening to this.
yeah, my personal email. Do you want me to say it right now?
No, I can just paste it on the screen when you
Yeah, yeah.
share the screens.
I mean, you already have it.
Yeah,
I mean, my phone number works too. Do you have that?
I don't have that, but
I'll just
I
drop
can
it to
just
you in
take
an
it to you
email.
after the
Yeah, I'll
podcast.
just
Yeah.
drop it to you in an email. Yeah, my
Hmm.
personal phone number or my email, both are great ways of getting in touch with me.
Sounds
Yeah,
amazing. Thank you so
yeah,
much for taking the time today.
yeah.
It
Totally.
was a
Thank you
pleasure.
for having me, others. Yeah, likewise. All right. See you later. Bye bye.
See you.